Okay, so last year I took some really neat photos, but honestly what I think is more interesting than the photos themselves is how I took the photos. It's definitely the most unique photography trick I have ever used, and it might even be the most unique photography trick ever. All you do Brady Born here, aka the iPhone filmmaker, and today we are talking anamorphic photography with an iPhone. And before you jump to conclusions, it's much different than just using an anamorphic lens to take photos. I think what I've done here is probably not possible with any other camera, at least not easily. You might be able to do it, but it would be a lot more complicated. It also really hides the fact that you're using a phone for photography. So like I mentioned just a second ago, I was up in the mountains last year and I was taking some photos, so I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the first one I took, like this. Not necessarily my favorite shot from the day, but I think it's gonna be easier to go through these in the order that I shot them. And now, I wouldn't say there's anything particularly stunning about this shot. I mean, it's good, but what I find interesting about it is, again, the way I took it, and I really started taking advantage of this trick after this shot when I realized how unique this technique could really be. So basically, how it happened was I was shooting just a bunch of video with the Moment anamorphic lens here. Just a little scratched up at the moment. Anyway, Moment anamorphic lens, super unique accessory, costs like $100 and changes the look of iPhone filmmaking drastically. Definitely a great accessory to get if you want to get into iPhone filmmaking. I had it on, I was shooting a bunch of different video stuff up there, and I wanted to take a photo at some point, but I did not want to take off the lens just because taking it off I didn't necessarily have anywhere else to set it at the time, so it just would have been annoying. So I just left it on there. I left the anamorphic lens on, I'm taking a photo, and with video you can de-squeeze. With photo on like the Moment camera app, you can't de-squeeze photos with the anamorphic lens. So I just took the photo knowing I wasn't going to be able to de-squeeze it in any way. But I was okay with that because I was actually taking a panorama, not a normal photo. So it was already being slightly distorted, and this just took the distortion level to a whole nother level. And that's honestly the reason this trick works at all, because it's a panorama, not a normal photo. If you take a normal photo, it's gonna obviously be squeezed. But if you take a panorama, it's much harder to tell. So I was utilizing another trick that I learned here where you do a vertical panorama. So you're holding the phone horizontally and then you kind of start looking down at the ground and you do a panorama all the way up above you. It's a really neat trick. I've gotten some cool shots doing that. But now with the anamorphic lens on it, it's actually squeezing the environment and you're getting a much wider field of view and distorting the entire image at the same time. Now onto the next photo, it's actually horizontal. So here you're holding your phone vertically and panning it, from side to side like a normal panorama would. Only this time, the anamorphic lens isn't made to shoot vertically. It's made to shoot horizontally. So now the direction the anamorphic lens is squeezing the image is actually vertical, not horizontal. Now, because I'm not de-squeezing this at all, I'm sure there is a way to, but honestly, I like the look of these photos distorted this way. I think it gives it a really unique look, hides the fact that you're using a phone because that's not something that anyone normally captures straight out of a phone. But because I'm not de-squeezing it, it's doing two things. It's distorting the image, again, hiding the fact that it's an iPhone, and it's adding a kind of cool lens flare light leak that you can see in this photo right here. The downside to doing this is that because there's no easy way to de-squeeze, if you have a person in your image, it kind of isn't gonna look as good anymore. For example, this shot here is super awesome, except my dad looks the height of an NBA star now. Another cool thing about this is that you can take some cool photos while you're shooting anamorphic video. That's what I liked about it. I didn't have to take off the anamorphic lens to get good photos. I was able to do both with the same lens on, the same accessory. And it's anamorphic, which is just so cool. And the fact that you can do that with an iPhone at all is just crazy. But really the thing I love is just how unique this is. You're still getting a warpy look on the edges of the frame, and your frame is also much wider, technically, because it's squeezing a lot more into your image than your iPhone camera can normally capture. It just gives it a super, super unique look that's definitely my new favorite photography trick. So if you found that interesting, please hit the like button. Also, one other thing, just kind of along the same lines of using moment lenses in, you know what, let me try. Okay, the Moment telephoto lens, this one's also a super cool thing, much better quality glass than the telephoto lens straight on your iPhone. So if you drop this over the wide lens on your phone, then you're gonna get much better quality telephoto shots. And this also adds a really cool like blur effect to the background if you're looking for more shallow depth of field. So that's definitely the way to go for that. But another photography trick I like to do is, I was talking about using the anamorphic lens for panoramas, do a micro pan with the telephoto lens. And it gives you like this zoomed in wide shot. It's really cool. You definitely try that out if you've never done that. So be sure to let me know in the comments if you try this out, and as always, make it epic.